If you knew this one thing about insulin, you'd never skip your strength training days again. In this video, I'll show you what actually happens when you work out and why it makes your body more sensitive to insulin. It's important to first understand what insulin does so we can better understand what insulin resistance is and what we can do to reduce it. First, think of insulin as the keys to the doors of our cells. When there is an increase in blood sugar, our pancreas wakes up and shoots out enough insulin or keys to open the doors to enough cells to get that sugar out of the blood and into the cells. As we age, especially if we are inactive and sit a lot, our sensitivity to insulin goes down. We become insulin resistant, or resistant to what the insulin is trying to do. Another way to think about this is that the keys don't work. This leaves the keys and the sugar hanging out in the blood. When glucose hangs out in the blood, instead of going into the cells, it ends up getting packaged up and put away in storage as fat. When we exercise, we increase the demand for the keys to work. The muscle cells say, hey, I need some fuel over here. It doesn't have to be a big sweaty workout, just simply not sitting helps to improve insulin resistance. Things like going for a walk, doing an hour of house cleaning, or parking far from the storefront are all ways to improve your insulin resistance. But increasing the duration or intensity of the activity can further improve your sensitivity to insulin. Strength training has some additional benefits. If you didn't know this, I hope it doesn't freak you out, but when we exercise, our muscle fibers actually rip and tear apart. That is why it hurts, especially those last few reps and then during recovery. But it's also how it signals that it needs to grow stronger. To grow stronger, it requires more energy and protein. Depending on how long and intense your workout was, you may have an increase in your insulin sensitivity for up to 12 to 24 hours afterward. With repeated cycles of breaking down and building back up, more muscle fibers grow. And even at rest, muscle burns more calories than fat, which means your daily calorie burn goes up without doing extra work. In summary, all movement is helpful in improving your insulin sensitivity. Strength training 2 to 3 times per week can boost your caloric burn as well as reduce insulin resistance.